gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for August 29th, 2024. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, PS5 Pro plans begin to leak. Konami heavily suggests Metal Gear Solid 4 will be playable on something other than a PS3. And Sonic Team puts out a declarative statement that Shadow is not Vegeta. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Jan Ochoa, everybody. Jan, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Jeffrey Grubb. It is morning. It is Thursday. Here we are.
Also true.
We pulled the groundhog out of the hole. It's still summer. It's still Shadow.
It's like
I don't know how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, all that sounds accurate to me. I believe that is how it's supposed to work. I was looking at the weather report for Seattle. It's like, okay, it's going to get up to like 80, but then down to 60 at night. I'm like, okay, I'll probably still just be wearing shorts mostly, trying to dress for summer. I'm ready for fall, Jan. I'm super ready. At the same time, I'm like excited about going to PAX. I might be in a bad mood for this because there are so many games coming out that I want to play. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to people. I want to go home and play games.
Yeah, I saw a specific email hit the inboxes. And then I giggled to myself.
I bet you did. Yeah. I bet you all did, huh?
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm still looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time. By this time tomorrow, I will be just about landing in Seattle. So looking forward to seeing everyone there. That does mean no Game Mess Mornings on Friday, everybody. So just tune in to Giant Bomb. Jan and the crew will have other stuff going on the site, right?
Yes, we will be doing UBF.
Yes.
I thought about asking Sean, it'd be an easier ask, but then I realized if I asked Nikki and Bailey to go get Buzzballs and then do a live film in 40s at 9 o'clock in the morning, that might be bad.
Yeah, but it might be good.
Well, Nikki is chiming in that, yeah, I can do that. No, that sounds great.
Hell yeah. All right, well, I look forward to that.
Mimosa mornings, baby.
Mimosa mornings here on Giant Bob. I can't wait. Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of other stuff. Like, it feels like every indie publisher is also putting out their game right now. I was playing a monster truck game, and there's a squirrel with a gun. That you're allowed to talk about that now.
Oh my God, yes, that is out.
Yeah, it's like I could just be playing that now, but there's a million of these things.
Also, I circled back and gave Tactical Breach Wizards more time, and holy smokes, Grubb.
Yeah.
Up my alley.
I think it might be a very good game. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely, when we're back and it isn't B week, and we stopped buzzing from B week, we should do a catch up stream with.
That's a good idea, because there's quite a few that I'm like, I would like to love to spend a little bit of time with. We can maybe do an extra long catch up stream and just have everybody bring a game or two and do that. That would be excellent. Tactical Breach Wizards, though, is like, that might be the one I should be playing on the plane because I'm enjoying it so much. Very into the Breach. And then the writing's actually pretty funny. I don't know if some people are super into it. I'm like, I am enjoying it, but I'm like enjoying the tactics so much, get me back into the action. So good stuff.
Jeff Grubb, I'd like to take this opportunity to mention something I totally spaced out on during Gamescom. I had forgot how global of an event Gamescom is. And one of the buildings, there were a bunch of different booths from different countries representing game development coming out of there. Stuff from Istanbul, Korea, really cool stuff, seeing how global game development is. And then I got me thinking, wait a minute, are my people here? So I had dragged our dear friend Bailey Myers with me and made a couple laps around the hall where all of the different countries were representing themselves.
Of course.
And then I thought, nuts, I don't see us anywhere. And then as I'm about to go down the stairs, a little twinkle catches my eye, and I see this little sign that says Philippines, and I'm like, oh, wow.
Hey, all right.
People. And it was really cool to see game development popping out of the Philippines. Generally, the Philippines is like a big on support studios.
Right.
Whether that's like QA shit or art stuff, or, I mean, generally call centers are also big in the Philippines.
Right.
But it's really, really freaking neat to see game development and original IP popping out of the Philippines. Surprisingly, surprising to me at least, there's a lot of fighting games coming out of the Philippines right
Really?
now.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really big on the mobile market, so on Google Play and on iOS. Sinag, Sinag, is a game that's popping off right now. And yeah, it was really cool to talk to my kababayan out there and just see what the temp is like, and just seeing the similar struggles on the game development and game PR side of the fence as to like the games media side of like, oh wow,
Yes.
it's hard for y'all to get your name out there. Likewise, dog.
Yep. It's especially with like over the last year or two, as the industry's been pulling back on an investment. The unheard story there is always support studios get hit first. So
yeah,
and that's like, eventually game development, original game development, as you're describing, grows out of that element. That's what happened in Australia in the mid 2000s, like in that decade. And then the worldwide financial collapse happened, and every support studio in Australia got battered down to the ground. And then since then, they've been able to build up and have their a vibrant community. It's a good sign to me that Philippines had representation at Gamescom and was like, hey, no, we're out there still trying to put our name out there. That's great.
Yeah, shouts out to Gamescom for I think they gave like the Philippines team or like the Philippine devs like part of a grant to help pay for their way to come out to Gamescom and show stuff off, just so they can get a name out there. Also, Philippines government, I'm not going to get into it. It can get a little dicey, but it seems now that just like in other Southeast Asian countries like Singapore, the government is starting to invest in game development because they see the positives of it and how it can be financially successful and stimulate the economy in a good way. Stimulating the economy. What the fuck am I saying? But anyway, it was really cool to talk to them, and they were like, "Yo, if y'all ever want to come out to the Philippines and give a talk, holler at us." I'm like, is it cool if I bring my whole crew? And they were like, bet.
All right, let's make it happen. That would be fantastic. There are a lot of times interesting gaming related conferences, often maybe more business side focused, but gaming conferences that do happen in that part of the world. I would love that. That'd be very cool. All right, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings, or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with PS5 Pro announcement plans and console design have been leaked. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. The mid-gen PlayStation 5 upgrade will be announced in the coming weeks, it is claimed. Deal Labs user Bill Kuhn, who has a lengthy track record for leaking upcoming games and hardware, says the new console will indeed be called PS5 Pro. They say it will be announced very soon, with the official announcement set to be made during the first half of September. They also claim to have access to the packaging design for the PS5 Pro, but because they can't share copyrighted images, they have instead drawn a sketch of the design. I'll find that image and put it up here in a second during this conversation, everybody. But it looks like a PlayStation 5 Slim, but, bigger, probably again. According to the illustration, the console design will look similar to the PS5 Slim and will still be colored white. The main difference is the addition of 3 black stripes across the middle of the console, differentiating it from the other PS5 models. The report also suggests that the PS5 Pro appears to be slightly thicker than the PS5 Slim, but suggests that the design of the faceplates means it may still be compatible with existing PS5 Slim faceplates. One thing Bill Kuhn cannot yet confirm is whether the PS5 Pro will have a disk drive, because the images they have received shows a PS5 Pro without one. It's not clear, therefore, whether there will be 2 models of the PS5 Pro, one with a disk and one without, or whether it will be a single digital-only edition with the option for players to buy a disk drive separately, as is the case for the PS5 or for the digital-only PS5 Slim. One theory offered by Bill Kuhn is that the console may ship without a disk drive in order to keep costs lower, and of course, then you could buy one separately. The report also says that PS5 Pro will come with the same standard white DualSense controller that already comes with the original and Slim PS5 models. Speculation is mounted for some time about the internal specifications of the PS5 Pro, something Bill Kuhn's report sheds no new light on, although we have a pretty decent idea what the thing's going to be. A little bit more powerful, ray tracing much better, the upscaling tech, PSSR, I think was what they're calling it. Super sampling is going to be much better as well. So they'll be able to do 4K 60, maybe a little bit more frequently. Yeah. This thing, I think we were getting the sense that this was going to be happening soon, just because we keep hearing this thing is supposed to launch this year, Jan. So when are you going to do it? Probably before Tokyo Game Show. I separately heard that there's a PlayStation State of Play happening later in September. And the reality is, like I said, hey, they could announce this thing beforehand and then have some more news about it in that State of Play. Sounds like that is the play that they're going to run here. What do you think?
PlayStation's moves across the board have been nothing but confusing to me, and I completely understand that I am not a business analyst by any stretch of the imagination, but I understand that they raise the prices in Japan because they know the people that want it are going to pay top dollar for it, but also for this to be looming in the background, it just feels especially odd. Because I don't know, are they trying to increase the install base? Are they just trying to make as much money as they can before and squeeze it out before the PS5 Pro drops? And also, I don't know. I've always looked forward to like the second or third iteration of a PlayStation console because the design not radically changes, but it switches up decently enough.
It does.
Maybe in my head, I'm just thinking of like how cool I thought the PS2 Slim was.
PS2
when that
Slim
came
is
out.
fantastic. I like the PS1, the ONE.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those.
And then seeing the leaked sketches or the leaked designs, it's kind of disappointing in how samey it looks. I don't have the biggest problem with how the PS5 looks, other than it just looking like a design nightmare and looking like Seto Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh.
Uh-huh.
But I would have hoped for like a different enough design for me to justify buying it. Of like, oh, hey, this is a different box that I'm never going to see, but it's cooler looking. Yeah, this just looks just as cumbersome and as weird to try and fit into an entertainment center or behind a monitor.
Yeah, I mean it is still that giant like blooming monolith, right?
Sauron, type of deal tower.
Eye of Sauron, right? Like just a tuning fork with a computer inside of it. Yeah. I mean, I think like from this drawing, again, this is Bilbo Kuhn doing a sketch of the PS5 Pro image that they saw on the box itself. And so, artist rendition here a little bit, but I think this is probably going to be pretty accurate. Yeah, I guess you're right. I think I was also maybe hoping for a more of a departure because the PS5, Slim, the original PS5, those things probably aren't going to go anywhere. I do have a PS5 digital right there. I previously owned the original PS5 before that. I think I like it when they take even more risks and try something completely different and have a new design language a little bit, or stick with the same design language but try something that still looks different, even if it's part of the same family. So yeah, a little disappointing there. Yeah, what are you gonna say?
Like different color scheme, even, or like I don't know, giving it some type of personality. Just because like the white, kind of just feels too sterile, or for me personally, it feels too sterile. Especially if they're pairing it with like the same white DualSense that the original PS5 came with.
Yeah. Now, this drawing here clearly does not have a disk drive. I think the way it works on the PS5 Slim, again, I don't have one, and haven't really interacted with one. So I'm like going off the memory of us covering the story when it was launching, Jan. But my memory is you take off one of these panels, you could stick on a drive, right? And then to put the panel back on top of that. There's no reason to think that that's not exactly what they're doing here. It seems like this thing is probably going to launch without a disk drive. Maybe there's a bundle that comes with one, but I think they're doing exactly what they did with the Slim model, right?
Yeah. I saw pictures of the PS5 Slim, and that does appear to be the case of a detachable disk drive. Yeah, this is how they squeeze out folks to get to that 700 mark, Grubb. I think Emma is more and more right as the days go by.
Yeah, I mean, so the price is the other thing here that we have been talking about a lot. And clearly, you mentioned it, the price increase in Japan to 500 for the digital version and like basically like 550-ish for the one that has the disk drive. That means this thing is at least $600. But they just increased the price on that. Why wouldn't, I mean, to me, it's like actually it's probably at least 650 in Japan and places like that. And so here's what I think happens is we talk about it every time. The people who are most likely to get this are people who already have a PS5 and got one as soon as they could, and people that were following Wario 64 and trying to capture theirs as quickly as possible. So people that are the most into this thing. And so those people, I think, do try to say, hey, okay, I'll take my PS5 now. I'll sell that. I'll have the money, and I'll use that money to help fund this. So this thing's only going to be, and if they're thinking it's going to be $600, well, it's like I'll be able to get it for $150, $200 or something like that. I think, when you start doing that boy math, I think that Sony's like, well, actually, okay, if you're going to think about it that way, what if it's actually just, $300 and we actually charge $700 for the sticker price? I think that Sony knows that's who they're dealing with and would not. I think they are less afraid than they've ever been to go higher for the price than what we're expecting.
Sure.
And they've done that, and they have done that in the past a lot of times. I think Microsoft is even more frequently going like way above and pricing their stuff than what I was always expecting them to do. But Sony does that as well. And now it's like the way the market is and the way the economy is. I'm just not going to be shocked when this thing is $700.
Yeah, I think the surprising thing is Sony and PlayStation kind of not leaning into the hype must-buy factor that kind of captivated audiences with the PS5, because I feel like everyone and their mamas was after a PS5 during the pandemic just because of the scarcity of it. And I feel like they're kind of not leaning into that hype factor because, Grubb, in all of the sneaker reselling websites, you started seeing PS5s marked way, way up. And it kind of feels like there's no hype or buzz going on with the PS5 Pro just yet. And I know that they haven't officially announced it yet, but if you're trying to get that basic audience, I don't know if they're going to be hooked with something that looks fairly the same and with features that they may not know that they need or want. Like myself, I don't think I necessarily need a PS5 Pro right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like tiers, right? Like we talk about the people that buy this thing no matter what, they're in that top tier. But there's like several tiers below that before you get to that casual audience. And I think a lot of those middle tiers of people like, of course, I want a new PS5 Pro. I love games looking as good as possible. But I did buy a PS5. And do I feel like I got like the use out of it that I wanted to? Or did I feel like that was a real next gen upgrade? Because a lot of the games I ended up playing on there were games that also came out on PS4. And while I think there are people who are not sensitive to that at all because they just want the newest thing no matter what, there are a lot of people who are just behind that audience saying, I got to justify this to myself a little bit. And I think that argument is going to be pretty tough to win for Sony because a lot of people are looking at this generation as it still feels in a lot of ways like it hasn't fully gotten off the ground. Clearly, we've had some PS5 exclusive games. There's been a handful of them, more than a handful. But I think in a lot of people's sort of perspective on it, like when they're going from their own perception, they're like, I can think of 2 or 3. And then like I have a list a million miles long of games that I either have kept playing from the PS4 or have launched since the launch of the PS5 and were on both consoles. So in a lot of ways, it's like, okay, yeah, that's still part of that cross-generation thing that's happening. When are we going to get the games that take advantage of this thing? And there haven't been enough of those, I think, to make it so obvious that you need a PS5 Pro. So, I think this thing might do it's not going to fizzle, but I think there will be questions around it that weren't even around like the PS4 Pro, which never sold as well as the original PS4, because people are like, yeah, clearly I did, but I just bought a 4K TV. You're right. I should get a system that takes advantage of this 4K TV. Now, everyone bought an HDMI 2.1 television at the launch of the PS5, and then they got a PS5 to go along with it. And both those things take full advantage of one another. The PS5 Pro is not going to have any new one feature that like really makes all those purchases make sense. It's just going to run ray tracing a little better, and that's 10 games that have ray tracing that matter. Maybe I feel like that's even a stretch, Jan. I don't know.
Yeah, and again that I don't want to say regular, but that a normal consumer is. Will they even notice that while they're continuing to play the same games that they were already playing on a PS4? Are they going to notice it? Will it be implemented in something like Fortnite or the next Call of Duty, the annual Madden releases? Like, does that matter to that player?
I think probably not for the most part. And obviously there's going to be exceptions to that. People that like, no, I just always get the new thing. But yeah, we'll see. Hey, it's on Sony to create a compelling argument for this thing, and we still they have not had a chance to do that because they have not really announced this thing yet. So in a couple of weeks they're going to do that, and let's see. I think if they focus on stuff like 8K, that is a lost cause right there. I feel like that is them admitting that they don't have the right buzzword this time. If they come in and they try to like maybe finagle people into caring about ray tracing again, that also feels like a stretch. But I think if they can go, hey, okay, you did buy that 4K TV, and the Pisser Tech PSSR does enable you to get 4K 60 more frequently than you were getting it. And again, that's still a question as well. We like I say that now, people are going to be like, does that mean GTA 6 is going to run at 4K 60? Absolutely not. With your PS5 Pro, absolutely not. But maybe a handful more of those games will do that. That could convince some people. It just is not as much as the original PS4 Pro argument of 4K. You can actually do it now. That was so different.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I feel like a lot of people that wound up picking up was it a PS3? Yeah, PS3 wound up using it all as well as a Blu-ray player.
That's right.
And I feel like we haven't had that additional entertainment side tech upgrade to justify getting another box, just because every TV streams now.
Yep.
Sony, PlayStation, here. Put your peepers on. Get ready to cut the check here. You can make it out to Jan Ochoa and Jeff Grubb. Don't worry, Grubb.
Thanks. Got my back. Appreciate it.
3D TVs.
Let's do it again. I'm ready again.
Let's run it back, baby.
Let's go. I know we messed up last time, baby. We're going to do so right this time. Don't worry. 3D TVs are going to handle it for you. It's all going to be good.
The idea, Grubb, that two people can be playing split screen co-op.
Yeah, I love that.
With glasses and staring at the same TV full screen. Yeah. How amazing is that?
The lenticular thing, where I always wondered, because that's the way the 3DS works. I did a video about this a long time ago on my YouTube channel, if you want to see me making a goofball myself. But the lenticular thing was like, there's events on the screen that shoot the things at different eyes, so it only works for one person. But the cool thing they did is, like, in some cars, maybe this never actually shipped in any real car, they would, instead of like shooting the vents at one person, they would shoot the vents in two different directions, so the driver could see the map and the person in the passenger seat could watch Cheers or whatever. And I'm like, I love that idea. I wish every time I'm in my van and we're on a road trip, I'm like, I wish we had this so I could see the map and Steph could like watch the movie that the kids are watching. But it's like, no, if she wants to do that, she has to sit in the back. Like, no way. My
favorite term that I've heard in the last 2-3 years is parallel play, Grubb.
Yeah.
Imagine parallel
body doubling.
Play.
Yeah.
Body doubling. I'm sitting next to the significant other, and I'm playing the newest Horizon because I've gotten super into Horizon, and she is watching the new Horizon TV show. Right. That's synergy right there,
man. That's just is the commercial right there for Sony. Yeah, the marketing's done. Cut the check.
Cut the check. Send Astro Bot.
I like 3D.
Yeah. The other, shoot, I lost the dumb idea. It's fine.
Well, if you think of it, always come back. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll interrupt.
Yeah, I appreciate it. All right, let's keep moving here. Konami says, stay tuned when asked about Metal Gear Solid 4 Remaster. This is from My Nintendo News. IGN recently had the chance to chat with Konami producer Noriaki Akamura about all things Metal Gear Solid. The interviewer asked the question on everyone's lips: will they be bringing the acclaimed Metal Gear Solid 4 to modern consoles? Mr. Akamura replied by saying that they are aware of the situation with Metal Gear Solid 4 not being playable on current video game platforms, but he hinted at the game's inclusion in the yet-to-be-announced Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. Asked directly about bringing Metal Gear Solid 4 to modern consoles, Akamura replied, "We definitely are aware of the situation. Unfortunately, we can't really say too much at the moment with Volume 1 containing Metal Gear Solid 1 through 3. You can probably connect the dots, though." He's like, ... He like literally said ... Right now, we still are internally concerned about what we should be doing for the future of the series. So sorry, we can't really reveal anything at the moment, but stay tuned. I think, Jan, from the beginning, when they said the first one was called Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1, and it had 1 through 3 in it, at that point, you couldn't do a Volume 2 and not include Metal Gear Solid 4. I know we say that you can't, like, they could do whatever they want. It would have been a crazy thing to do. So I think the assumption for a very long time now has been this is going to happen, and this is them all but confirming it, right?
It has to be. I feel like bundling up Peace Walker and like Metal Gear Acid and Acid 2 would not be enough to warrant a Volume 2 collection. You have to stick in Metal Gear Solid 4. Sure, throw those PSP games, maybe throw in even the iPhone Metal Gear game, which was actually pretty good, y'all.
Yeah.
And then that is a Volume 2.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the Ghost Babel, I would love to see the Game Boy Color game in there as well. Slacker Chan.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. But you can't do it without 4. And you know, obviously the problem has always been 4 is actually only available on PS3. Whenever it was available somewhere else, it was because they were streaming it from a PS3 somewhere onto your PS4. So they were going to have to do the work to get this game up and running on other platforms, but it feels like now's the time to do that. If you are making all this effort, and you did see a big reward from doing, you reaped a huge reward from doing that with Volume 1. Volume 1 did very well for Konami. Clearly it's worth the investment. You get this done now, and then you could sell Metal Gear Solid 4 on platforms forever into the future. And then once it's on PC, it's just there and people can just play it whenever. So yeah, this is ideal. This is exciting. Now I'm like, oh yeah. And now I feel like pretty happy about the idea of like, I am going to start up Metal Gear Solid and play through. I played through 1 and I played 5. I haven't played 2, 3, or 4, or a lot of the other stuff. So I'm like, well, part of that was always, yeah, I mean, once I get to 4, am I going to want to emulate it? Yeah, I probably will just do that. I guess I can go get a PlayStation 3 out and get that running. But that's just once, as soon as that hurdle gets placed in front of me, it's an excuse to not do it. And now I'm like, I should just do this and play this game and stream it, and I would enjoy that. But yeah, were you ever a Metal Gear Solid 4 guy?
I feel like I missed that because I didn't have a PS3 at the time. I wound up getting a PS3 way after the console had already been sent out to pasture. So I would definitely be interested in fully checking out for myself Metal Gear Solid 4. Definitely played it at a friend's house here and there, but never dove in for the full thing. Watched Metal Gear Scanlan's run of Metal Gear Solid 4. But I kind of want to experience the microwaves for myself.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Also, God, I think Metal Gear Solid 5 might be in my top 10 games.
It's so good. I'm like that as I am playing Star Wars Outlaws, and it's like it's a stealth game. It's like I get like you can't. Not every game's going to be Metal Gear Solid 5. No game's been Metal Gear Solid 5 basically since 5. But boy, I wish they would just copy what this game is doing or try to like play around in this playground space a little bit more. That would rule.
I'm curious to see what you would think of Metal Gear Solid 3, knowing our similar tastes and distaste for a game like Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah,
I'll give it a shot. I think I hope I like it. Metal Gear Solid 1 was like such a good balance of being cinematic but still being a video game, and I just love everything about it. And I've tried 2 in the past. So I haven't like really given it a real shot, so that's why I don't qualify as really playing it. But it's like everything I know about 3, and 3 I've actually tried a little bit too on 3DS. I tried that version recently. I was just like kind of playing around for a little bit, seeing what that was like. And I was like, okay, I'm not over the hump of like where is the good loop here? What is fun about this? So I'm still cautious about that one, but we'll see. I know people love that game, so I'm willing to jump in there and give it a real shot. All right, Square Enix will bring more games to Xbox after Final Fantasy XIV's success. This is from Evan Campbell at GameSpot. Thanks to a really strong response on Xbox for Final Fantasy XIV, Square Enix seems committed to launching more of its games on the console. Though Naoki Yoshida, the director and producer of the MMO, didn't offer any specific examples of what could arrive next on Final Fantasy or on Xbox Series X and S, Eurogamer caught up with Yoshida at Gamescom earlier this month and chatted about how Final Fantasy XIV has performed on Xbox since the full game released in March. I'm happy to say that we've seen a really strong response on Xbox. We've seen communities starting to establish, and now they're growing, Yoshida said. On top of Final Fantasy XIV's success on Xbox, Yoshida pointed out that Square Enix revealed a new aggressive multi-platform plan going forward in May. So now we are moving towards the policy of releasing our games on a multi-platform basis, and we really want as many players as possible to play our titles. So with Final Fantasy XIV as the starting point, we do want to release more Square Enix games on Xbox, and there will be more of our titles released on Xbox. Hey, this is a little bit different than I think the early days of Final Fantasy 14 on Xbox. What we were hearing was it's going slowly, but it's like sounds like it has picked up pace, which as an MMO, it was always capable of doing. I mean, we know a big part of this is what he said there. Square Enix is like, hey, we are maybe done with the exclusive partnerships. As much as it's nice to have a big check from PlayStation up front, maybe we'll just take the co-marketing deal for a lot less money and we'll just sell it everywhere because we think that's better for the health of these games long term, right?
Yeah, I think looking at it long term, I think people already have that expectation or that odd association that modern Final Fantasy games are associated with the PlayStation. But knowing if you were a console owner and only had an Xbox, like, yeah, sure, the PS5 branding is big on those commercials, but I can still get those games, then that's a win-win for Square.
Yep. And I mean, this change is happening in the middle of the Final Fantasy VII remake trilogy being released. Do you think, I mean, I think the deal for Final Fantasy VII Part 3, have they announced the name for that yet? Maybe they haven't. That one, I think, could launch on Xbox. At the very least, though, someone in the chat points out, that should just launch on PC day and date, right?
Oh, 100%. God, I would have preferred that just so I can play it on my Steam Deck and everything. It feels like a no-brainer. With Final Fantasy 16 headed to PC later this year, I have to assume that it's headed to the Xbox as well.
That game specifically, right? Yes. Again, the Final Fantasy 7 stuff's a little bit weirder, but I don't think that deal's in perpetuity. So maybe one day Final Fantasy 7 remake could still end up on Xbox. But as far as 16 is concerned, that'll head to Xbox at some point. Yeah.
I'm ready for 16 to get another wave of people checking it out because I feel like a lot of people were poo-pooing on it when it came out just because of how much it varied from the core series. But I still enjoyed it. I still think it's one of the better Kingdom Hearts games.
I think, I think there's by putting in audiences that don't normally see these games necessarily, like Xbox. I think they can come in with different expectations, and maybe the game will hit harder with that audience than it did the traditional Final Fantasy audience.
I have to assume that Microsoft is taking the temp and seeing the success of Final Fantasy 14 on Xbox. And is WoW on Xbox yet?
No, and I mean I know that Mike is a big WoW guy. Whenever I bring this up, he's like, yeah, that's kind of a crazy idea. Just that it seems like Final Fantasy 14 at a certain point built for controller, and Warcraft would have to be completely reworked. But it's like I know in the last year we did a story about the person in charge of WoW saying, yeah, it's something that we talk about all the time, and of course we talk about it, and maybe we talk about it even more these days. So now that still doesn't sound like, and it's something we're actively working on. But the conversation does happen. And I don't think it's impossible to rework that game to be on console. It would just be cumbersome. It'd be a lot of radio menus every time. Like all the shoulder buttons would just bring up different radio menus probably. And you'd have to get pretty good at navigating that. But hey, whatever. And you could plug a keyboard and mouse into your Xbox these days in any game and it just works. So, as long as the game recognizes the keyboard and mouse. So, I don't think this is something that is off the table long term. I think WoW's not going anywhere. It still makes a ton of money, and I think that they probably will consider this more in the future.
It surprisingly had a pretty big presence at Gamescom as well. Like a decent chunk of the Xbox booth was dedicated to World of Warcraft. I don't know if we mentioned it this past Bombcast, but they had a VR World of Warcraft roller coaster type of deal, like you'd see in a mall or something.
Sure.
And it was actually really well done.
Is that the thing that Mikey was on? He was riding, was screaming. I like that.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. They synced up the fans and everything. It was really cool. And then they took videos of everyone, and it is the most unflattering video of everyone I've ever seen. So
except Mike Minotti, he looked like
Mike Minotti,
just joyous. Yes.
He's having so much fun.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, a lot more news, including maybe a new Astro Bot game. No, not Astro Bot. One after that. Right after this. All right, we are back, and let's get into it. Astro Bot 2 hinted at in PlayStation 5 Platinum Trophy description. This is from Liam Croft at Push Square. Ahead of its PS5 release next week, the trophy list for Astro Bot has been posted to Exophase, and what is noteworthy is the Platinum Trophy description. Earned all trophies. Well done, and see you in Astro's next adventure. So will Astro Bot 2 be out before the end of the PS5 generation? That's a question to ponder now. Look, I don't think this is really meaning that. It's just like, no, Astro, well, like we made this game and see you next time. Have you ever, have you in your life, have you ever said, see you next time to somebody and you never saw them again? That happens too, right? So, I hope, I think I'll say this at least, Jan, that I think Astrobot has that chance to break out that I've been mentioning. And I think we will get a lot more Astro before Sony gets bored of it and lets it drop off or something like that. Like this is the start of an Astro renaissance, an Astrosance.
Oh, 100%. This is where Sony or PlayStation comes back and is like, hey, we need a fucking mascot to lead this thing.
And this is a great one.
Yeah. Like, hey, your PS5 is just full of these little dudes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I 100% think they should lean into it. The language of like, we'll see you again. I don't think that immediately means we're going to get an Astrobot 2, but that Astrobot will play a bigger role across the PlayStation. Like, I don't know. Maybe they change like the beginning splash screens when PlayStation is there, and they just kind of like Pixar-fy it, where like the Astrobots like peek out of the PS5 logo or whatever. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean it's just see you in Astro's next adventure. It is like a promise a little bit. I get that they're like how people read this. And I think that that is probably how they intend it, but I don't think that means there's anything concrete right now. If this studio is going to make another game right now, though, I do think it'll probably still be an Astro game. At a certain point, why not? They seem to like making them. I think they offer a strong canvas for creativity. So, and every time, when we talk to, was it Nico Duce? Is this the name of the guy? We talked to him a little bit at Summer Game Fest. Ben just did a really good rapid interview with them on over there on MinMax. People should go watch that. He seems to be kind of like super into the stuff that they're working on, and I hope that is indicative of how the whole team feels, and that they really are saying, see you in Astro's next adventure, because they're like, we want to do more of these. That's how I'm reading this, and I think that is a reasonable expectation that they want to do more.
Here's Sony PlayStation. Keep the checkbook out. Still address it to Jan and Ochoa and Jeff Grubb.
Yeah, please.
Take the tech from Ratchet and Clank. God, what was the last one that came out?
Rift Apart.
Rift Apart, where you are going through the rifts, but is just different PlayStation games, and you're just Astro.
Yep. I mean, that's a very good idea, because the idea of like right now what they're doing is, there's a lot of little Astrobot guys that look like characters from other games, and you rescue them. That's what the plot of this game is. Having a thing where you actually go into some of those games, I think that could be fantastic as well. As long as it all still just played like Astro. I don't want it to turn into Horizon.
Give me Astro dipping into the world of Jack 2, so now Astro has a gun.
Yeah.
And then Astro is in a stealth level, so it's Sly Cooper in a level, and then like, oh, whoa, what's this? There's two Astros now. It's Cookies and Cream.
You mentioned Ratchet. Kimbot is that other game, one of the other games I was talking about that just came out. That's from the Pumpkin Jack guy, the guy that made the Pumpkin Jack, which is like medieval. And then this one is like Ratchet, and it looks great. I haven't played it yet, but it looks very good. Also, who was it in chat? It was Cyrus Raven said Astro 2 will be an extraction shooter, and that made me laugh. So very good stuff.
But also, I feel like this is kind of capitalizing off of like the language we've seen in Marvel movies of like Iron Man will return.
Exactly, yes. And there's been examples of that where it's like, that doesn't always pan out, right? With the promises they make there. Most of the time it does. I get the implication of what they're going for here, and I agree. And I think the reality comes down to, if this game performs, we will get more. Absolutely. Yeah. And it feels like this thing has a tailwind that is pushing it forward. The people are in the mood for this game. It looks super high quality. It's unlike a lot of other stuff you can get on the PS5. Everything is going its way. So with all of those factors being true, it kind of feels like the game better perform. It better do well. Now, what does that mean? To me, it means anything north of 5 million copies, and we're doing pretty good. My dream scenario is 10 million copies. That is earth shattering for that. But I don't think that's reasonable, a reasonable expectation. And I hope that was never an expectation at Sony. I don't think it was, but who knows how these companies think. At the very least, I think this game will come out and establish itself very firmly as, no, this is Sony's new mascot. And I think that'll be great.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Keep moving along here. Marathon's director has been fired after inappropriate behavior, and that's been alleged against him. I'm going to say that to cover our own asses. Just over 2 years ago, Sony bought the former Microsoft-owned developer Bungie, which was given a lot of autonomy within the company. Shortly after, a new Marathon was announced, and Bungie seemed to be a huge addition for Sony. Then Destiny's problems began to mount, with leaders defecting in droves, and according to consistent reports, a very bad atmosphere. While financial estimates were falling, the last year has seen mostly negative reports about Bungie. So it's perhaps not surprising that it is now time for not one, but 2 strikes. Bloomberg journalist Jason Schreier reports that at least 8 female Bungie employees have reported Marathon director Chris Barrett for inappropriate behavior, including calling lower-level female employees attractive, asking them to play truth or dare, and made references to his wealth and power within the studio, which suggested to the female employees that he could help advance their careers. This has now led to Barrett being fired. As if it wasn't bad enough that Marathon has lost its director, the admittedly reliable journalist Tom Henderson writes on social media that Marathon is so cooked and says he's heard more. Yeah, I mean,
boy,
right? Just don't. We know this. Don't do this. I'm constantly baffled how we get in situations where people get a little bit of power and think, all right, now it's time to use this to my own personal advantage in a very peculiar and intimate way, and it's always wrong. It's so obviously always wrong. Now I know people don't necessarily always see their own power dynamics, but I know for a fact, because I work at a corporation, that you're trained to see those power dynamics and recognize them, and the fact that you still try to take advantage of them is just it's always a bad look. And fire the guy, get rid of him. We don't need him.
Yeah There's nothing else to be said about that. Dude's a piece of shit. Dude's a scumbag.
Absolutely.
If you are in any type of power where you act as a manager or you oversee a team of people or even just one person, hey, don't be a piece of shit.
Yep. Yeah. And it's like, but clearly, as people point out in chat, piece of shit beforehand. But it's like, once you have the power to, like, there's a situation where, like, employees dating each other is like, well, we can, like, okay, that seems fine. But as soon as you become a manager, like, the power dynamics come into play, and that makes it a problem for everybody. And it's just like, I don't know if there's any good way to navigate that. Like, I'm willing to give space for human beings being human beings at a company, but once you are like, hey, I have power, and now I'm going to try to say, if I'm going to say you look pretty to someone who works for me, no way. There's no world in which that we can make that make sense, because it's just going to lead to situations where people feel uncomfortable all the time.
Yeah. No matter, like, how much you try and flatten a workplace environment, there is still some type of hierarchy in the back end, no matter what type of environment you've cultivated. So you just can't do that.
Yep.
If it's employee to employee, sure, do y'all's thing. But if it's like someone in a managerial position or other higher position making comments or making advances to someone lower, then no bueno, dog. This specifically gets covered in HR training.
Well, yeah, like this exact example, like all the things he was doing here get covered. Like they just have reenactors acting it out, and it's like, yeah, what should you do here? It's like, well, not that, and everything. It's like, I'm just clicking the button because I know not to do that. Chris Barrett could have used a little bit more of that, apparently. And honestly, no, he could just use getting the fuck out of here. Just get out. We don't need to put up with this.
Yeah, we don't. Just get the hell out. Go somewhere else and stay there. And then I hope you get kicked out of there as well.
Yeah.
I also feel terrible for the folks involved with Marathon, just because it is already an uphill battle, and having people like this at the top does not make anything easier.
That's right. It depletes morale, and people need a certain amount of energy to come into work and give their best on any of these things. And I would not be expecting anyone to do that if they're like looking around and seeing a boss treating people this way. Let alone the fact that a marathon extraction shooter is going to face all kinds of complications just because it's really hard to make one of those games. So yeah. Hey, whatever. I've honestly never really cared about marathon all that much. I'm not going to care about it in this situation when there's real people dealing with real assholes at their workplace. But yeah, they're going to have to figure that out, and a lot of people's livelihoods will depend on that because, as we talked about with the Bungie stuff, the future of Bungie and its ability to continue to make games that people want them to make greatly depends on, one, the Destiny 2 stuff that is going to be reduced but continuing to perform, and Marathon has to hit. And that game was supposed to come out this year, I guess, originally. Now it's scheduled for 2025, and we'll see if that comes through. Who knows?
Even if it does hit, Grubb, I just don't know how long the hit will be able to last and sustain itself.
Right, yeah. I mean, is it going to be a different audience than what's playing Destiny? Is that what you're going for, or do you have to like extract some of the Destiny audience over here, for Marathon to keep that game? I don't know. It's finite.
Completely different game, but like the finals like blew up last year and really dominated a lot of my time playing games on the PC. But after that initial wave, I have not checked it out. I've not thought to re-download it or whatever. If anything, I've thought about downloading Titanfall 2 again.
Yes, I have that constantly installed now. All right. Ryu Ga Gotoku Studio is hosting a presentation next month. Ryu Ga Gotoku Studio is set to hold an online presentation in September. The RGG Summit 2024 stream, which it's expected will include news about Ryu Ga Gotoku's upcoming titles, and it will be broadcast on September 20th at 3 a.m. Pacific Time, 6 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. BST. Jan, let's get up. Let's cover it. Let's go. Let's do it. 3 a.m.
Okay. All right.
The Like a Dragon studio has yet to announce what will appear at the show. The studio recently claimed that its next title will be revealed at the Tokyo Game Show 2024. This would put that like about a week before TGS. So maybe a teaser there, or maybe they announce it here and show it off at Tokyo Game Show, and that's what they always meant. According to a recent live stream from the studio, its next title will be revealed, at TGS. No further information is known about that game or which franchise the game will be from. Tokyo Game Show 2024 will take place in blah, blah, blah. We saw that, not leaked, but like the legal filing for, what was it? Yakuza Tactics?
Yakuza Wars.
Yakuza Wars, thank you. That seems like that could pop up here. Who knows? Could be something else as well. But at the very least, I'm at a point with RGG where I know we're in between the big main entries on this, and yet I'm still very curious about what they're doing, because the spin-offs, some of the spin-offs I've dabbled with a little bit. I played one of the Ishin games a little bit. Oh man, I just lost access to my Plucky Squire preview build. I was enjoying that. The Steam pop-up just happened in front of me. Oh, it's been removed from your account. All right, well, I guess I'll just wait for it to come out now. That was fun though. I'm at a point with RGG where I am curious about everything they're doing, so I will be tuning into this. How about you?
100%. I feel like they've been really they've been on such a good run with all of their releases lately that I'm super curious to see what is coming next from the studio, especially with how they may try and reimagine a genre that they're diving into. I feel like they've really done a lot of good work with like turn-based combat, so I'm curious to see how they'll adapt it. My heart wants tactics, but if they want to give me a freaking RTS, I trust them.
Yeah. I mean, I think when we talked about it last time, the one I settled my heart on is all of the what's their Pokemon thing called? Basically, all the freaks battles. Stugimon. Yeah, having all the freaks battle one another on a play field and having positioning matter. I would love that. That would be great. So, kind of hope maybe that's what it is.
Also, you know what? I'll wake up at 3 a.m. to do this. Let's do it.
Okay, hell yeah, party. We'll get the mimosas going.
You know what? Send us to TGS. Someone bring us to TGS.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, the reason that the crew was able to go to Gamescom is Gamescom invited us and helped pay for it. And it's like, that's the kind of thing where it's like very easy to say yes to, because it's not like our coverage is of Gamescom. We cover the things that are at Gamescom. So there's never any conflict there. If Tokyo Game Show wants to do the same thing, hell yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Make it make sense for us.
I need more jeans.
I need a lot of things from Japan is what I'm realizing, that they just, when they have things, they just don't stop doing them until they perfect it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I need some more of that in my life. I also really want to go to a Japanese convenience store as someone who really appreciates convenience stores. That's like my thing. I know that I've never actually experienced the pinnacle, so I need to do that.
Chef Grubb, I want to be there for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I want you there. I know, because I know you'll see it in my eyes, and how it'd be like when we went to Disney and I was on the Rise of the Resistance ride or whatever it was. Yeah, that'll be very good. All right, a handful more stories here. The Legend of Zelda animated series is re-releasing on DVD. This is from Darren Bonthus at GameSpot. The Legend of Zelda's live-action movie adaptation isn't releasing anytime soon. I forgot that was happening for a second. But at least the cartoon series is being reprinted on DVD. Yes, we were surprised to stumble upon this too, but the complete 13-episode run will be available on a shiny, unscratched disc on October 22nd. You can get the complete series for about $14, $13.59. Never a great show. I liked it as a kid. It is a fun thing though, because I got a lot of the Mario ones that they've done on DVD, because I have the DVD player in the van, and the kids will sometimes watch those and sometimes get very into it. I'm always like, there's a Zelda one of these as well, and they've watched me play Zelda. They don't really play Zelda themselves, so they've been curious about that. So I'll get this for the van, like $13, no problem. But if people are wondering, yeah, you've seen this on DVD before. It's been out of print for a while, so this is mostly just a new printing of the Legend of Zelda cartoon series. So hey, yeah, I'll show up for that. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Next story, Concerned Ape gives update on Stardew Valley 1.6 port on consoles and mobile. This is from Adita Chug at DualShockers. Stardew Valley players who play on consoles and mobile devices have been missing out on the game's latest 1.6 update experience for months. Addressing the same, Concerned Ape, the game's creator, has revealed how far along the process of porting the update to these devices has come. Sharing it on their official Twitter handle, the American game developer revealed how porting the Stardew Valley 1.6 update to other platforms apart from PC has been their main concern for a while now and will be rolled out as soon as possible. Additionally, the developer revisited how they have put aside the Haunted Chocolatier project to fully dedicate themselves to porting Stardew Valley's latest version. So if you remember that before vaguely, well, that's still been the case for months now. They are fully working on the Stardew Valley update. The 1.6 update, which came out for PC in March, brings the game a lot of free content and significant improvements that have been due out for some while. The update also brings extended multiplayer support, allowing up to 8 players in a single session. And every time we think about this, we got to just play this game multiplayer sometime. Basically what's happening here is he's just saying, yeah, it's still happening. It's still coming. It will probably be pretty soon. But the reason there's a little bit of a gap here is he explained that they tested on PC. The PC version is like, they know that audience is a little bit more tolerant for things not being fully done, mostly done, but not fully done. And that stuff is now being like completely ironed out, and that makes this thing more ready for consoles. And they're in the process of like figuring that final part out. But I think Concerned Ape mostly still just this one guy. So these things are just going to take time, right?
Yeah. Hey, buddy, take all the time in the world you need, because I'm just suddenly finding out this game many years too late. And I'm enjoying all of it so far.
You were like debating going Fields of Mystery, and you decided to do this instead, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed like the couple hours of Field of Mystery that I played, but then I thought, well, let's go back to what inspired this. So I went all the way back to Harvest Moon. No, I didn't actually do that. But with all of the quality of life updates that Stardew has, and then all of the resources available for Stardew right now, and if I need people to backseat game and help me with my farm, it seems like there are more resources available there. Also,
That's
the
true.
multiplayer thing that we eventually should check out is very enticing.
It sounds like a very good time. All right, last story here. Sonic team boss says Shadow is, quote, not Vegeta in any way, and is, quote, not friends with Sonic. This is from My Nintendo News. Sonic team boss and Shadow the Hedgehog's creator, Takashi Iizuka, has revealed in an interview that he's fed up with people comparing Shadow to Dragon Ball's dark hero Vegeta. Speaking to the site, Izuku informed them that Shadow the Hedgehog is his favorite Sonic character due to the tragic backstory behind him, which I'm trying not to laugh really, which makes the controversial character both interesting and compelling. Also a quote. The interview then asked Izuka if Sonic fans have interpreted Shadow in a different way over the years than how he originally expected or intended. Here's what he had to say. So yes, there are some ways that people interpret Shadow that are not how the team is intending. I think the biggest one is if you look online, everyone's like, oh, this is Dragon Ball Vegeta. Vegeta really starts out as an enemy and then later becomes a friend and an ally and kind of like fights for justice and trying to save the world and whatnot. Shadow is not like that. I never want him to be like that. Shadow is doing his own thing. He's not friends with Sonic, and he's gonna go off and, do whatever he feels is correct or right, or what he needs to do. And it's not like, well, okay, we used to be enemies, but we're friends now. Let's save the world. He's not that kind of character, and I don't want him to be that kind of character. So people are always online saying, oh, it's Vegeta. It's Vegeta. It's not Vegeta. And then he laughs. So.
Hey, it's okay, buddy.
Izuka's being a real Vegeta, though. Am I right? Come on.
He's being a real Vegeta right now. Just let people ship how they want to ship. And cast how they want to cast.
And
there's character archetypes and story tropes. Let them just do it. Knuckles has become Piccolo. Tails has always been Krillin.
Exactly. I remember reading old Star Wars extended universe novels, and I was reading these at the same time I was watching Dragon Ball Z, and I remember reading a character arc of Boba Fett having oh, here's my code that I always stick to, and sometimes I will do the right thing, and I'll surprise you by doing the right thing. I'm like, this bitch is so Vegeta right now. I was thinking of back then. So it's just what people say when a character who's typically viewed as originally as hey, that's the big bad, and now he's shifted enough that he can sometimes align with the good guys. That's what a Vegeta is. What's the vampire on Buffy the Vampire Slayer that did that eventually?
Which one?
Right, the blonde one, the Spike.
Oh,
yes,
Spike. Fuck Spike. It's all about Angel. Excuse me.
We can just start calling these Spikes instead of Vegetas. Would that be better? I think we could do that.
That's probably better. Because Angel is a superior love interest for Buffy.
Right. Well, yeah, Angel's more complicated, right? He's got more going on there than
exactly. And jealous. Come on, y'all. He was the first vampire with a soul. David Boreanaz could have been Batman. What a world we could have lived in.
I loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've never really watched Angel.
Yo, let me tell you, part of the reason why I love Angel is because I had recorded 2 episodes of it on VHS, and then our cable went out for a month.
So did you watch those over and over?
Yes, I did.
Hell yeah.
Charisma Carpenter, fantastic in the show.
Charisma Carpenter is fantastic.
It's really terrible how Cordy got dealt. I think Wesley is a terrible character. They should wait. I'm getting the characters confused now. I'm just so worked up about Angel. I'm shoot hot right now about Angel. Part of the reason I also really like David Boreanaz is because he represents the big forehead crew like myself and Rihanna.
Shout outs to y'all. I know I shouldn't speak on it as the president of the little forehead crew, but shout outs to y'all. Yeah, I also watched I saw the TV Glow, which is very inspired by Buffy. But as I was watching, I'm like, is that fucking? It's a spoiler. I'm not going to say it. We'll just go watch the movie, everybody. It was a cool moment, so I won't spoil it. All right, let's see here. Poll question. Let me get that up for everybody. That's right over here. While I'm doing that, Jan, do we have anything happen on the website today that people should know about?
Yes, we do. Later today, we will have the voicemail dump truck featuring the OG driver himself, Ben Pack. Mars is also jumping on the dump truck as well, just so our boys can get ready for PAX. Also, PAX this weekend, Jeff Grubb, we have 2 panels. We have a Blake Club panel happening on Sunday, as well as a Bombcast for Vengeance popping off on Saturday. I want to say both will now be streamed.
That's the last we've heard, is that they're both streaming.
But we will update y'all. Check out the Blight Club, new season of Blight Club that started yesterday. Alone in the Mitch, best name ever.
Yep, very good. That was a lot of
great.
fun. That was a good episode.
Good time. I'm glad to have a blink button.
Yep.
And not in the
not in the
way. Blink way.
No, just the OG blink. Yeah.
Yes, OG blink. Mike looked good in that jacket though.
Yeah, absolutely. He's wearing it. That jacket was not wearing him.
But later today, before the dump truck, Jeff Grubb, we will have the first annual Giant Bomb Spelling Bee.
Yeah, we will. I'm going to help you shoutcast this thing. I'm going to shoutcast the spelling bee. I've always wanted to.
We've already had one dropout, Jeff Grubb.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not going to say that Emma Fife decided to drop out because she's scared of Bailey Myers and Dan Reichert's war, but here's where we are.
Real shame. I promise I'll be really respectful of her fear when I'm shoutcasting. Don't worry.
I mean, that being said, I am already scared of Emma Fife constantly.
I'm scared of everyone that is a part of the spelling bee that is because they're all taking it very seriously. I'm getting frightened of all of them and their energy.
Yeah. Nikki. I don't know if Nikki's saying they're not taking it seriously or they are taking it seriously.
I think we'll find out once we're going live, everybody. But you won't want to miss that. What time is that at again?
That should be popping off around 11:30 Pacific today.
Okay, all right. So about 2:30 Eastern time, everybody. So yeah, tune in for that. Then voicemail dump truck, Ben Pack. Well, a lot of fun stuff for the rest of the week. All of them are going to be doing UBF and all that tomorrow. And again, no Game Mess mornings tomorrow. I will literally be on a plane the time I should have been doing this. So that's just how it goes sometimes. All right. Poll question. I have the one from yesterday right here. Do you wish that Astro Bot had a VR mode? As we heard those news stories, it won't. But 80% are fine with that. They're like, no, I wish it didn't have VR mode. 20% wish it did. So still, 1 in 5 saying, hey, that would be cool. And that's and 20%. It's like if all of them bought a VR Astro Bot game, might make it make sense. But PSVR 2 is just not doing well enough for them to do that. And as Duce said when he was talking about it, they did not make this game for VR in any way. And if you played Rescue Mission, you know that they can build games for VR and really take advantage of that. All right, new poll question. Do you think Konami will really port Metal Gear Solid 4 to modern devices? Yes or no? Now's the time to just let your heart fly. Let's believe that this is going to happen. And they're not just teasing us. And hope, if it's as well as everything they did with the Volume 1, hopefully it'll be pretty decent. All right, we'll get the results of that poll on Game Mess Mornings on Wednesday, because Monday is Labor Day. So we're going to put kind of a gap here, everybody. Next time I talk to y'all, if I don't see you at PAX, if you're not tuning in for that stuff, I'll see you on the Bombcast on Tuesday. But then we'll have a new Game Mess Mornings on Wednesday. We'll get the results of that. Anything else, Jan, that we should mention? I think we're all good.
Yeah, if you see the crew at PAX, once again, the crew that will be out there is Jeff Grubb, Mike Minotti, Dan Reichert, Timur Hussein, and Lucy James. If you see them, say hi.
That's right.
Don't be shy.
And we
not be shy.
The Blake Club panel. We're playing a 4-player game. There's only 3 of us on Blake Club. Maybe we can capture one of them, Lucy or Tam, force them to be on there.
Who seems the most susceptible to fall into a trap? I'm going to say Lucy because she might get sleepy.
Okay. All right. Well, look out for that, everybody. It's going to be a really good time. I'm officially playing the worst game at PAX, so you're not going to want to miss it.
No one at PAX West look at Lucy James as she comes down the stairs to join us for breakfast and just say biscuit bitch. Okay. No one do it. I'm still living with the repercussions of my crimes.
I'll take that quote of you saying that right there. I will have that as a sound on my phone, and I'll just play that. And it'll still be you saying it, so it'll be good. All right. Jan Ochoa, thank you so much for spending today with me talking about video games, man. You know I appreciate it.
It's the best way to start a Thursday.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.
Biscuit bitch.